Welcome to the channel. I thought we'd do a little bit about annealing brass. I've mentioned it a couple of times and I've never really described what it means. The basic definition is that we take a fired case, which is made out of brass. I wouldn't do this with steel. And you take your brass case and you subject the top of it from about that level up to heat. And then at the right heat, the brass becomes more malleable after it has cooled. That's basically it. There are instances when annealing is extremely useful, predominantly when you want to work brass. I know shooters that try and stretch the lifetime of their brass. So what it is, they shoot it, and over the time, the necks, as you fire it, they expand, and then you push them through the die, and you're squeezing it back together again, and then you fire them and they expand. You can only do that so many times before you have metal fatigue. And what annealing will do, it'll slow down the hardening of, it'll remove that hardening that you've built up in the brass. And it'll just kind of like reset it at a more malleable level. Now, there is, right out of the box, you have to be very careful. Anything that happens at the rear of the case, you should not anneal that. I can't see a reason for it, but more importantly, you need just about all the strength you can get down there. And if you feel that you might be approaching a head case separation, you wouldn't try and anneal to head it off. You just toss the brass and you start again. And obviously, I mean, even the extractor down there, you want that brass to be as hard as possible. So really, annealing only happens anywhere above that sort of line. Yeah, you'd never really want to go below that. And that brings us to the first of the challenges, which is how do you stop the heat from spreading all the way to the bottom? Well, the thing that I do is I use my drill, and the jaws will grab the case like that, and then I gently tighten it. And at that stage, A, I can't get to the bottom with a blowtorch to heat it up, and secondly, as I heat the top up, the chuck will absorb some of the heat. Now, I don't anneal my cases. I find it's way too much work, and the only time I really do it is when I manipulate the brass. And what I have set up as our little experiment over here is I have some 243 brass over here, which I have neck sized. I don't have a full sizing die, I'm sorry. But once we've annealed it, we're going to try and do a full size all the way up to 308. And that is going to put a lot of strain on the brass. And hopefully we'll see that the annealed cases perform slightly better than the non-annealed cases. And that the cases which we have annealed too much are probably just going to collapse because they don't have the strength in the neck to handle it. Okay, now the first one is easy. That's this guy here. I'm going to write a big 0 in it because this one is our control. There it is. 0, this one we didn't anneal at all. Next one is this one over here. And we're going to give it a 1, like that. Let's put it in our chuck. And let's give it a nice short blast. 1. And that was it already. I don't think that will have done a lot, but okay. Next one is number 2. Put that in there. 1, 2. Alright, that one got a little bit better. If you have a look, we have that little bit of a shadowing on the case. That is probably the sort of level I would already consider that acceptable. There's number 3. And it goes. Oh. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Whee, that got a little bit too hot at the top, but that's probably still okay if we have a look. I think that's the top is starting to darken. All right, let's have the next one. Next one's number 4. And the chuck is still cold, so I'm really not directing the heat at the chuck. I direct it at the front, where the case is, okay? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that one's darkened quite a bit. So you can see there, that also looks very hot. Now, just for giggles, I've actually had a go at melting one of these brass cases, and I don't think it's possible. That said, I would be very careful when running a drill, because if you do get it to a melting point, of course you're splattering liquid metal everywhere. So I really don't think you should take it past a certain point. You know, I mean, we might just get this to glow, but that's already ugly. And I haven't got it on the fastest rotation. I have it on a nice, slow and steady rotation. I wouldn't do that sort of thing, for example. And as ever, you should wear full protection. All right, here we go. So this is number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit more, and we're glowing. Okay. I did want one a little bit more. This one, actually, the tip of it started glowing really quite brightly. So there are our candidates. We'll give them a little bit of time to cool down. And of course, remember with annealing, we don't want to drop these into cold water or anything. The whole point of annealing is that they cool down slowly. Okay, so I'll be back with you once all this stuff is to room temperature, and then we can try hard full sizing them, and we'll see how we get on. So just a quick overview now that they've cooled down. This one is the 0 case. That's our control. We haven't done anything to it, and I'm sure you can see just that there is really no change to this case. The next one looks almost identical to number 1. I don't think this one has been annealed in any usable shape either. Then we move over. That one there, we gave a 2-second blast. And for me, myself and I, that's probably good enough. Next to it, 3 seconds and 2 seconds, there really isn't much difference. And 4 seconds, there really isn't much difference there either. Then finally, the last one, we have the one that we thoroughly cooked. That one actually glowed. And you can see how far down the that little discoloration went. It went just about off to where the chuck is. Now, obviously, this is too much, and these guys are too little. But within the middle of that, there's actually a sizable range where you can achieve good results without getting some sort of heat indicative paint and all sorts of stuff, which I just consider overkill. Ultimately, if you spend that much money to try and anneal a case, you might as well buy a new one and be done with it. I mean, annealing is a bit, it's a bit of a hack. So let's try full sizing these guys and let's see how we get on. Okay, welcome back. So here are our champions. I have used some Lee Resizing lubricant, and I've rolled all the cases in it. It's all pretty good. I put a bit of extra on top, which is probably excessive, but I don't want there to be any reason for these cases failing due to a lack of lubrication. Okay, so we'll start off with our control, and it goes. So this is number 0. Okay, and we're going from 243 to 308 with very little love. Let's see how we get on. It did take it. It took quite a bit of effort, but that's good. Now we take the ever so slightly one, the number 1. Let's give that a go. Here we go. That one was no easier. And again, it's fine. It has survived. Next one is the number 2. And that felt easier. Here's number 3. Again, easier, softer. And we're still okay. Here's number 4. In it goes. Oh, that's like butter. Very good. And number 5. So let's have a very quick look regarding what strength we have. This is the 0 case, this is our control, and I'll just pinch it just below the neck. And that's about all I have. That took a lot. And this is number 5, again, just behind the neck. And that was like butter. And that one, the number 0, took a lot more than this guy to achieve the same sort of thing. And these guys in the middle, that's okay. That was 4. That one's 3. I'm not giving them anywhere near as much as I did with 0. This is 2. Yeah, see, that one is a struggle. 2 is not enough. And number 1. Between 3 and 4, they are the best. I think that number 5, the last one, that's too soft. I mean, there's very little strength left in this. You can just squish this to pieces. You can probably flatten this whole case. Okay, so what have we learned? Well, we learned that annealing has made resizing them easier. I think the cases are less hard. So if you want to anneal, you really don't need anything overly complicated. Again, the only thing you really have to look out for is that you don't overdo it. That's really it. I hope that was interesting, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.